Chapter 30 of Sky Song by Abi Elphinstone. Esker. As Esker approached two glistening columns of ice, she turned briefly to catch a last look at her friends, but what she saw made her insides roil. A shattered iceberg, water pulsing red, and one fur mitten floating on the surface. Balapan screeched from her shoulder and surged into the sky, circling the crimson water again and again. Esker stood up, the horror drumming her bones, the anthem swirling in her ears. But when Balapan landed at her feet, with her head bowed, she threw her head back. No! The wail was a whisper, as she knew it would be. Then suddenly the anthem cut to silence, and though Esker's mouth was still open and her throat still strummed, the words stopped. Just like that. Esker's eyes widened and she scrabbled at her throat. Then she swallowed hard and made to cry out again, but this time no sound left her body. Not even a whisper, and the reality of the situation dawned on her. Flint and Blue were gone, and the Ice Queen had stolen her voice. Esker fell to her knees and wept. She had failed her friends, she had failed her parents, and now she had failed Erkenwald. Balapan wrapped her wings around her, but she couldn't stop the tears. The Ice Queen had her voice, and how long would it be before she used it to call the rest of the fur and feather tribes under her command and tear down the sky gods? Esker sobbed silently for Flint and Blue. There was nothing left worth fighting for now. The iceberg carrying the girl and the eagle drifted slowly on. Esker clutched at her throat and tried to find that hope she felt before, but it was gone, almost as if Flint and Blue had taken it into the depths of the sea with them, and when she finally did look up, she saw that she was inside a tunnel carved from blue ice. It curved over her head like a ceiling of turquoise jewels, and it was only then that Esker realised how far she must have floated. She glided out of the tunnel, and as she glanced down, something caught her eye. Black and white shapes speeding beneath the water, sleek bullets with blunt heads. Orcas, Esker thought. A pod of these whales was nudging her and Balapan's iceberg forward, and though to Esker it seemed that the fight was over, it appeared that the wild had a different opinion. And because of her unshakable bond with Erkenwald's animals, Esker looked ahead one more time, despite the grief that rocked inside her, to the last of the groaning splinters. The final iceberg was a curve of white, and it reared out of the sea like a slice of the moon. The orcas pushed Esker and Balapan on into the bay in front of it, and then all but one of the whales vanished into the deep. The remaining orca surfaced, and Esker held her breath at the sight of something so huge and fierce and wild. She looked into the whale's eye and felt a memory hover close. A woman with long red hair was rocking her back and forth while singing a lullaby about orcas and eagles. The memory slipped away and another surfaced. She was running now, hand in hand with her mother along the beach, and they were laughing. More memories of Blackfina flooded in. Paddling a kayak beneath the stars, roasting fish inside an igloo, diving into the summer waves. Esker gazed at the orca for several minutes. Then she remembered the other name for this whale, the name her ma had taught her when she was a tiny girl. Blackfin. And suddenly it felt to Esker that while the frost horn might be miles away, her mother's spirit was close. The orca sank into the water and Balapan nestled into her side, but Esker could tell that the whale had not gone for good. Because a song began then, but not one composed of stolen voices like the Ice Queen's anthem. This song was wild. It was the call of the whales, and the ocean around Esker hummed with it. The whales sang with clicks and cries and long, drawn-out notes, and Esker's tears for Flint and Blue and all that she'd lost slipped from her cheeks into the water. And as they fell, something rather extraordinary happened. Another whale spiralled up from the depths, one with a speckled back, a white belly, and a long, twisted tusk. A narwhal. The rarest of the whales, and if Esker's memories of her ma's words were true, it was known throughout Erkenwald as the unicorn of the sea. Its tusk broke the surface first, sparkling in the morning sun, and Esker blinked. The narwhal dipped its head, as if it had expected to see Esker all along. Then it laid its tusk down on the iceberg in front of the girl. Balapan ruffled her feathers in anticipation, and hardly daring to breathe, Esker looked at the tusk. It was as long as her arm and wider at the end fixed to the whale's head. She leant a fraction closer, and saw a symbol carved into the ivory around the tip. It can't be, Esker thought. But it was. A carving of the sky god's constellation, just like the birthmark on her neck. But why would a narwhal bear the mark of the sky song? Esker wondered. Balapan took a small step forward and dipped her head, and Esker, not wanting to seem impolite, dipped hers too. Then the narwhal shook its body and pulled back from the iceberg, sinking into the sea. Its tusk, however, remained on the ice, and Esker realised then that the North Star had given something very precious to the rarest whale in the kingdom. The tusk was the long-forgotten frosthorn. Esker's eyes grew large as she picked it up. She had found the frosthorn, but it had come too late for her poor friends Flint and Blue. The lump in her throat grew. Perhaps now that she had the horn, though there was still time to stop the Ice Queen from using her voice. And as the orcas pushed Esker and Balapan's iceberg back through the groaning splinters, Esker knew that her fight wasn't over yet, because here, in her hands, was hope.